Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter, and woo, do we have a lot of interesting things to go through today. At the opening of the PlayStation Experience event, we got a new trailer for Monster Hunter World, and it was incredibly story heavy. There were a ton of small things and little hints here and there, but none of it quite comes together into a cohesive picture. So in this video, it's mainly going to be me going through all the points of interest that I could find and discussing what makes them potentially interesting. The main takeaways from this trailer, if you haven't seen it already, is that we have Wyverians back. Woohoo! Nergigante is an absolute powerhouse and so cool. I loved watching the gameplay footage with him. Stopping Zorah from advancing into probably what is the underground tavern is, for some reason, of the utmost importance. All the past fleets are working together to stop it. And we have a rich story and a huge cast of characters. That seems way more complicated than anything we've ever seen in Monster Hunter before. Oh, and don't forget to mention, we also have Lavasioth and Uragaan are back. And they were featured in a new map that we aren't quite sure what it is yet, but it looks pretty cool. Sounds like a pretty amazing trailer if you ask me. The trailer was really amazing, so I'm going to put a link for the official one in the description down below, and I highly recommend you go and watch it before watching the rest of this video. But honestly, if you're here, you've probably already seen the trailer like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times already, just like me. Also, please note that there's going to be a lot of speculation in this video, so do not take my word as gospel. I'm serious. And this is really more of just a conversation. Join in and let me know down in the comments below your thoughts, both about what I point out in this video and also things that I didn't point out, because I'm sure there's a bunch. Now before we jump in, I do want to give you guys a reminder about the fleets. Every 10 years they send a fleet over to the new continent to investigate the Elder Dragons and find out what is it that is making them pursue the new continent. What are they seeking and what's going on? The very first fleet is represented by the star, which is the symbol in the sky apparently that they were all tracking and sort of started it all. The second fleet is represented by what we now know is fire. I do like how it sort of is symbolic because we see in the trailer the sort of like blacksmiths or the more, like fire guys. That's what their sigil was. The third fleet has the symbol which looks like a vase, which maybe the pursuit of knowledge. The fourth one is sort of like navigational gear, sort of for like steering and piloting, and we are the flag. So we are the fifth fleet, the young ones. You'll see a lot of the people from what looks like the first fleet, and they're all old because that was 40 years ago. Okay, I'm just going to scrub through this video so we can point out all the interesting stuff. One of the interesting things is this trailer really focused what, at least to me, is the very high part of the Coral Highlands, and obviously the relationship down below, which is the Rotten Vale. Here we see a boat that is pointed upwards, looks like it's positioned at the very top of the Coral Highlands here. We can see it floating off into the distance. Here we see we're also at the top of the Coral Highlands as well, and this is going to come up quite a few times, so I do think something very big happens here. And we go up through this boat, and if you stop right up here, you can actually see the symbol of the third fleet. So the Wyverian girl that appears here later, I definitely think that she's probably from the third fleet, but we'll find out. Inside the what looks like a repurposed boat seems to be like a library of sorts. So if it is the Wyverian, that makes a lot of sense. Maybe they're here doing research. Maybe they're like studying the ecology and all that other kind of stuff. Okay, moving forward some more, we finally get this weirdo guy from the very first trailer. And what's really interesting here, and maybe you guys all noticed it, but I didn't, was that he only has 4 fingers, which is a definitive trait of the Wyverians. Maybe they didn't show it before, I don't know, I can't quite remember. Then he sort of talks very cryptically here about, it appears that this is the, the Elder Dragons are crossing over yet again. So he knows what's up, and he's done this several times. We can see here he's actually holding a item that has the symbol of the sigil of the first fleet. So it really makes me think that he's from the first fleet. And here when he pulls off his hood, we do see here his elf ears, which do prove that he is Wyverian. Now you may be asking yourself, if everybody from the first fleet are like old men and women, why does he look so young? Well, that's because Wyverians age much slower than humans, so it would make perfect sense if he was a Wyverian that was put along with everybody on the first fleet and has found deeper meaning in the whole, everything that's going on. Four-fingered dude. And here we see a new map. Now, this is something we saw in the very first trailer. It appeared to be sort of like an underground cave where the sea reaches the underground near sort of like this magmatic rock. And then we just see like this entrance over here. This is obviously where I think Zorah is coming for. And we've got to stop Zorah. So we see two different Zorah fights. We see Zorah outside in sort of like the rock cliff area. And we also see Zorah inside this place, which makes me think that you failed the first one and that later on in the game it actually gets closer to where it wants to go, which is down here for some reason. So something underground is something bad's happening. That's my gist of it at least. So we move forward here, and if you notice, you see the sigil of the second fleet, which is of fire. And he's just asking him if he's all ready. Now in the English trailer, he does say here, the second fleet never loses or something like that. In Japanese, he actually says, I bet it on the sigil of fire. So that's why we now know that this is not the symbol of wind. This is the symbol of flame and fire, which is cool, again, because they look like they're very, blacksmithy, right? Like comparing, getting all the cannonballs and forging weapons and all that kind of stuff. Let's go forward a little bit more. And we've got some more dramatic stuff happening downstairs. And then this, obviously, remember, this is sort of like the area where the ocean meets the underground cave area. So this is definitely a jump in cutscene. We now see Zorah outside, plugging its way through the mountainous sort of valley. So this is probably the very first time that you fight it. We can see it's a huge ordeal. Everyone's trying to stop it. It's got a beard that is only rivaled by that of Eric's Gaming. And you're obviously going to be using cannonballs, and you're going to be on top of the monster as well, trying to... We did find out it is a capture quest, so you're not trying to kill it, you're trying to stop it. Very interesting distinction there. And here we go, we're going back to story stuff. Here we are back to the story that they're trying to tell with the Coral Highlands and probably the Rotten Vale underneath. I say that because she's obviously at the very top, and here we see a brand new character pop up from what looks like the Rotten Vale. I also say I think it's the Rotten Vale because she's got this breathing mask, which of course you need because in the Rotten Vale the air is poisonous and very treacherous. And she also has a mining thing, which makes me think that she's been underground for a very long time. Her age definitely makes me think that she was from the first fleet, but we'll have to wait and see. She doesn't wear anything that actually has a sigil on it. But then again, outside of the Wyverian, I don't think anybody from the first fleet actually used that symbol that much. So, we'll find out. Anyways, you obviously run into her. She makes a comment here that's interesting. She says it's an ecological marvel in English, but in Japanese she just says, what an amazing ecosystem. So she's not talking like about a monster or one thing. She's talking about the whole ecosystem, which makes me think that maybe she's never gone out of the Rotten Vale, and this is her first time in the Coral Highlands. Who knows? I have no idea. But obviously she's going to be a pivotal character in the story that you're going to meet. Here we see some cutscenes. Again, like she's talking over it, but we don't actually see her in this cutscene. So this could just be some editing magic. We don't actually know what that cutscene is from. Then we do see the Rotten Vale. It's such a pretty area. Now before we go back at the story, we do have some really cool gameplay. Starting out with Lord Nerg. Nergigante. He is so awesome looking. My gosh. He definitely deserves, cover monster of this. So here we see that beginning first capture quest against Zorah, and it looks like he's getting in the way. So maybe there's something intelligent going on here. Maybe he's trying to stop you. I don't know. But he's probably is definitely core to the story, and we'll just have to wait and find out, really. We can speculate all we want, and I don't think we actually know. We go some nice gameplay. This is actually gameplay in the new map that we saw. So the new map obviously has an outside area, which is sort of like this rocked cavern with these really interesting sort of pillar-shaped rocks. And we'll see this with Uragan in a little bit, but we do see him fighting out here as well. And again, they're jump cutting here a lot. We see him on top of Zorah, then we see him on this other map, so don't think that this is all one cutscene. They're really obviously editing this from a lot of different points in the game. Get some very bling gameplay. Here he is again back on Zorah, so it's not the same battle. This and this is not the same. Really cool move where he's pushing his wing upward. I really like that. And then we cut into some of the returning monsters. So we see Diablos popping up. underneath the anthill in the Wildspire Waste. And we do know that Diablos is sort of the king of that area, where Rathalos is the king of the forest. And we see him like suplexing Baroth, who's probably thinking, oh my gosh, help me, what's going on here? Diablos gameplay, always fun. We get to see some nice horn break action going on here. Just some good gameplay. And then this is really interesting, this cutscene, because they keep going back to the scene where we're on top of the Coral Highlands, something going on below in the Rotten Vale, and this makes me think that this is all connected, because we see what looks like a fireball coming from down below, which is probably the Rotten Vale, going all the way up through the Coral Highlands, and it's going to smack into our hunter. Obviously, it's not a very good thing, so it makes me think it's a monster, right? So bam, you get hit, you go flying, and the handler, of course, she is our waifu this time, so she tries to save us. And it looks like it's going to be a very, daring scene. Here we just have some really cool gameplay for Lance, which I'm going to be maining along with Hunting Horn. It looks great against Arathian. Very cool gameplay. Then we see some sort of like supplies being delivered downward. Makes me think that this is just delivering it down into the Rotten Vale. Who knows? But we do get this really nice cut of all the cats jumping down, and they look so adorable, don't they? And here we are again on top of the Coral Highlands, again looking at something coming out of the ground. This looks like the mist, or the miasmic mist from the Rotten Vale, is actually getting inside of the Coral Highlands. I could be totally wrong, but obviously there's something going on, right? I mean, between those two maps. And that's kind of the idea, right? In this game, they have all the maps connected in a way that, from a story standpoint, it would make total sense. And here we go, we see the second Wyverian of the game. Now, because she's in the boat from the Third Fleet, I'm going to guess that she is also from the Third Fleet herself. And she just says some cryptic stuff like, oh, we don't know what the heck's going on. Well, thanks for telling us nothing. But having another Wyverian is nice. If you guys don't know, Wyverians is a huge lore thing in the universe of Monster Hunter, so you can go ahead and read that on the Wikia or places like that. So she just says some cryptic stuff. Again, look at all this mist. This is not normal for the Coral Highlands, so definitely thinking that something's going on here. Bar Zorah. So everyone is pretty much just saying we have to stop it no matter what. And the reason why I keep calling this the underground magma kind of place, with the sort of upstairs, which is like, those pillared rocks, is because look at the ceiling here. We can actually see that it is a cave. So it is underground in a way. So this is a very daring, this is a great shot. So here we can actually see those pillared rocks. So we know that this underground area where the water reaches the cave is definitely the same area as the upside area, which has these rocks in this kind of like cylinder shape, sort of half pipe, which is great for Uragan, right? Half pipe in it. So this is just a great shot that just shows that to us. Some really cool cutscene with, it looks like Zorah's actually managed to get itself all the way into this cave, and you've got to stop it. So you're going to fly on these small monsters and jump on it and try to stop it. So cool. And here we are, we're jumping again. Obviously earlier to the game, I think, where Zorah is not inside that cave yet, and we're doing some nice slip and sliding and some nice gameplay. Then we get this really funny cutscene where we have the fleshy dog, Odagaron, and we have this mysterious woman, and she, with nothing but a slinger, is like, I got it, leave it to me. So she's pretty bad. She's awesome. So let me know down in the comment below. Do you think she wins, or do you think the doggy wins? I think she wins. I mean, look at her. She looks crazy. Again, this is all Rotten Vale, and you can tell that because of the map, obviously, and also because even the handler has her mask over her face because she can't breathe in that mist. Then we see what looks like an absolute brand new area of that new map, which is somewhere underground where there's a lot of magma. And that's really, really interesting because we knew we were going to get a magma map somehow. Doesn't look like a volcano, but everything around this area looks brand new, and we get Lavasioth. Lava fish. Basically, Plesioth as a evil, fiery thing. Then we're back up above ground again. I think this is the Magma Rock Island, I'm calling it. Some really interesting structures here that I'm very curious about. And obviously something going on over here. And we have Uragan going down the half pipe and showing off its chin smashing. Boom! Woohoo! And it flies. Urgon is so cool. Now this is an interesting scene. We see the Wyverian guy from what looks like the First Fleet being all mysterious again, and in the English, he's not as clear. He just says, you know, maybe I'll see you at the end of all this. But here in the Japanese, he actually says "michi bikareta," which means like if you are also being led, or if you are also being forced to follow something. So remember, this is the same verb they used for the First Fleet, in which they felt drawn to or led by this star. So he's saying that if you are also being led down to this deeper truth, then he'll see you at the end of it all. So I don't know. Maybe he's got some like royal mission. He's trying to stop something. I don't know. But mysterious stuff. So it's interesting. I like the idea that it's more than just a monster has a virus, which is pretty much the story we've had up until now. Here we are back in the Rotten Vale. Obviously, we've got Grandy down here. This is some really weird, nasty stuff. And my guess is these like rotten pillars, this is probably going to link up to that weird boss that they teased in the second, I think it is, trailer. I could be wrong, but obviously something interesting is going on here. And she makes a comment like, well, I haven't seen this before, which is interesting because she obviously looks like she's been in the Vale for a long time. So something is coming up underground and messing with stuff. What could it be? Then we get this nice little cut shot of a new NPC. This very much looks like the Veggie Elder. If you know from the series, there's always this like Wyverian dude who's hanging out on the maps that you can get quests from and exchange items. Maybe this is him. Definitely looks like it could be, but we don't know for sure. We get some more daring cutscenes on top of the Coral Highlands. Everyone's in trouble. And then this is a really interesting end of the cutscene. We see a flower flying away. It almost looks like the star, like it's got the same amount of points. But look in the distance. We actually see what looks like Zorah Magdaros, like actually leaving. If you see the direction it's moving, it looks like it's actually leaving Magma Rock Island. So maybe this means that you succeeded. Maybe this is a cutscene of the past. Maybe it's tried to come here before and maybe it was stopped or not stopped. Who knows? But then after a cutscene, we see obviously some time has elapsed, because Zorah is no longer in the water, and we got some very, like, really buff old guy looking off in the distance, very happy, and moving away. So, like, God, that guy's ripped. Makes me think that this guy is also from the First Fleet, given his style, his just general physique, and his age. So maybe this is a flashback, I don't know. Maybe they stopped, or who knows, I honestly have no clue. But obviously they want to get whatever it is away from their island. Maybe there's a big secret they're keeping there, maybe not. Who knows? Anyway, speculate all you want. Let me know in the comments what you think. I am just really intrigued in the idea that we've got lots of story and characters we know nothing about, which means we have a lot to look forward to. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed this trailer. I know some of you may have wanted to be more action-oriented. I'm very happy they went story-heavy. And we're going to get all the action we want coming up tomorrow, because the beta starts tomorrow in just a few hours from publishing this video. And let's just get hyped. We're only like 40-something days away. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit like if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, happy hunting.